You might have a business idea or a writing project, but you're wondering if it's going to make you any money. So in this video, I want to share how you can use your imagination and your intuition to actually solve that self-doubt. Those questions around whether we're going to make money from our projects can really hold us back in our careers as creatives and writers. That's what this channel is all about, helping you overcome that self-doubt. So if you're new here, then you might want to think about hitting that subscribe button to stay really in tune with your dreams. So let's really look at how we can grow our imagination and grow our intuition and really overcome that self-doubt and feel confident about our ability to make money. So I've got 3 really nice tips to share with you today. The first one is to really understand the difference between self-doubt and intuition. So there's a place or a feeling around self-doubt that feels uncomfortable, it feels draining, it feels negative, and we can really latch onto that feeling and we can really get stuck there. So I want for you to understand that the place of intuition, there's a warmer, more positive feeling. So in order to switch from one to the other, it's firstly to recognize when you're in that negative place of self-doubt and you're really worrying about money, that it is a state that you can transition from. And that there's a warmer, more positive state that you can step into, and it is really about those feelings. So firstly, you're starting to get a sense of what that self-doubt or what that fear around money feels like, and you're really acknowledging, oh, okay, I'm in that place of self-doubt. And then to start to really tune in, and you can see that I'm closing my eyes as I'm saying this, really start to tune in to how you feel inside when you're coming from that place of intuition. And so here, it's quite nice to imagine a sense of invitation, a sense of warmth or positivity or light. And so that intuition is really inviting you to start dreaming of the positive. And so here you can start to loosen and free yourself from that negative or that energy drain and start to come into a lighter place where your intuition is really calling you. And so when we're in this place, we're starting to imagine, we're starting to use that intuition to get a sense of what's possible. Okay, and so here we can start to really use that intuition to see the things that we want, to picture the things that we want. So here's where we start to picture our projects, our writing, our work in progress, really in that future place, generating the income that we really want to have. And then we can start to feel excited about that. And so we really get to know the difference. So when we're feeling low, it's not necessarily the truth, but it's like, oh, I've just slipped into that place of self-doubt. I've slipped into that place of negative energy. So that's that first step to really understand, am I in a place of self-doubt or am I in that place of intuition? And the two are very different. The second area, the second tip, is to really get aware of the questions that you're asking yourself. So for example, if you're asking, will I make any money from this? That's a yes/no question. So you can either answer that with a yes, I am going to make money, or no, I'm not. And so the answer to that question is really going to be dependent on that frame of mind. So it sort of comes back to, are you in a place of self-doubt or are you in that warm, light place of intuition? And so if you are in that place of intuition, you're going to say yes. But if you're in that place of self-doubt, you're going to say no. And so often you're going to be swinging just because of the questions that you're asking. So when you become really self-aware of those questions, you can start to check yourself and you can start to open the question out. And what do I mean by that? When we open the question out, it means that we're asking a question that doesn't have a yes/no answer. So for example, we would replace, will I make any money from this, to what's it going to look like when I start making money from this? Or In what way do I believe that this project is going to generate money in a year's time? So you're starting to then ask a question that has a creative or an imaginative or an intuitive answer rather than simply based on a yes, no. So it's going to be dependent on your state of mind at that time. So whenever you catch yourself asking those yes, no questions, just take a pause and say, okay, how can I make this question more imaginative? How can I make this question more creative? And that way, when you're answering the question, you're going to have to start tapping into your intuition. You're going to have to start tapping into that imagination and creativity to create a much more fuller response. And then that's going to start to guide you to taking more fulfilled actions, more productive actions. So what would it look like to start making money from this project? In what way is it important for me to be making money from this project? What levels of belief do I have around making money from this project? Much more fuller questions. So that second tip is to really get clear of the kinds of questions that you're asking yourself. And then the third tip is to really get clear about the way that you're using your imagination. So are you using your imagination for you, or are you using your imagination against you? So let's come back to that initial question of, am I going to make money from this project? So if we're coming from that place of self-doubt, what then starts to happen is that you use your imagination against you, because you start to imagine the worst. You start to imagine things happening that you really don't want to happen. So for example, for me, when I get into that really negative place, my imagination goes on full pelt and I start to imagine everything in my business failing, and I actually get right so far down the line that I imagine myself homeless. I sometimes have this image of myself in very threadbare clothes, sheltering under a bridge in a rainstorm, like really imagining the worst happening. So once we start to get clear and ask that question, how am I using my imagination? Am I using it for me or against me? Then we can start to transition. So if you're finding yourself wondering about the future, whether you're going to make money, then you start to invite yourself to use your imagination for you. So you start to imagine making that money. You start to imagine the changes that you're going to be able to create in your life, because you're going to be generating an income from your creative projects. And then you might start to use your imagination to think, well, if I'm generating that income, I'm going to be able to support the charities that I feel really enamored in. I'm going to be able to have even more ambitious creative projects. And so here you're using your imagination for you. So those are my 3 tips, and these aren't exhaustive, and you are going to need to practice these tips every day. Whenever you find yourself in that place of self-doubt, it's to say, how can I switch into intuition? It's a much warmer, it's a much lighter feeling. It's to really get clear whether you're asking yes, no questions or whether you're asking those fuller questions. And then thirdly, are you using your imagination for or against you? So that accountability to make sure that you're really practicing these tips is really important. If you need that accountability, or you feel that you need even more support around this area, then come join me in the Facebook community. We've got a wonderful growing community of writers and committed creatives, and we would so love for you to come and join us. So you'll see a link down below in the comments, and it will take you straight through to the Facebook page, the Write No Matter What community, and you can request to join. It's completely free, it's fun, it's creative, and I'm there live every week to make sure you can create the income that you want and have that fulfilling and financially rewarding creative career. So have a beautiful week, have an imaginative week, have an intuitive week, and I will see you on the sofa next Monday. Take care till then.